Okay, so I am winding down my day, drinking a Corona, which I had last time I did a video, I think. And I don't drink as much as I used to. Like, there was a time when I drank quite a bit. Then as I got older, like I cut that like more than in half to where like maybe on the weekends I would have like, I don't know, 4 beers, and now it's like I've cut that even in half, or even by more than in half. Like it's just rare that I have a beer, except for the last couple of times, but it's pretty rare. I really don't drink that much. But anyhow, as you get older, a lot of things change, or for some people anyway. That's not what this video is about. You don't really care. Did a lot of legalese stuff today, a lot of paperwork and a lot of forms and a lot of this and a lot of that. Hate that stuff. It takes so much time. You explain something on with one particular group, you got to explain the identical stuff to another particular group. It's just so much. It's a headache. But anyway, this video is talking about the prices, home prices in Seattle. Remember, I did a video talking about in Tacoma, and just a month or so ago talking about the percentages here and what they are. Someone in the real estate market was telling me if they reach 19 or 20%, that homes here in the next year would be on average about 500,000. So roughly this time next year, 500,000 will be about the average here in Tacoma. And so, excuse me, that is going to be a big deal, because obviously, keep in mind, home prices here not that long ago were a bargain. I mean, it was a great time to buy. How you can buy whole buildings for $300,000, like big 3-story buildings for $300,000 just a few years ago. So that's changed, obviously. Everything here now, in terms of the city, has shifted quite a bit. Now, Seattle, on the other hand, is still growing. I did videos talking about, someone said that no one's moving to Seattle. They are. The numbers of people that are moving there has slowed down quite a bit, but it's still attracting a lot of people. And recently they were talking about how home prices are starting to rebound again. The only city, big city, that beat Seattle in terms of home prices as far as acceleration rate was Phoenix, Arizona, right? And they beat them by just a solid point, I believe. I think that Seattle is at 8.5% increases, and I think Phoenix is like 9.5. Don't quote me on that, but somewhere in that ballpark. And so there's just been this steady drumbeat in terms of house prices in Seattle and how quickly homes are selling. There's still quite a bit of people interested in homes and not a lot of people that are offering them. Now, it was a point in time when people in Seattle were not selling homes because, A, they were not going to get what they wanted. There were different waves, right? The up and downs that Seattle has had. They've had a lot of up and downs. And some of that was because they didn't want to sell their home because they thought they can get more for it. They didn't want to sell their homes because of uncertainty. They didn't want to sell their homes because of the simple fact they couldn't afford anything else. So a lot of folks held on to homes because, A, some of them are underwater. Keep in mind, there were people who bought homes right when there wasn't really a bubble, but it was homes were selling for way more than what they really were worth. Well, as a result, those homes now, whenever home prices in Seattle start to plunge, those homes were underwater instantly, right? Here in Tacoma, during that time when Seattle had that deep plunge in prices, home prices only dropped by a few $1,000s. So it really didn't impact things that much. And so it quickly rebounded after that. It recovered a lot quicker. When you look at home prices in Tacoma right now, it's by far faster in terms of price increase as Seattle, by far. I think we're at 15.9, almost 16%. So we're literally almost double. When you look at Seattle prices, how they're increasing, we're almost double. So we're catching up pretty quickly. Now, keep in mind, we have a long way to go. We're not on average of 500,000 yet. I think average price now they're saying is going to be hitting 460 this summer in Tacoma, which is insane. 460, 469 in the next couple of months. Summer is not far away. So when you look at Seattle, you're looking at 700 and something on up to 800,000 on average. But still, we've literally caught up quite a bit. There's no longer the case where, on average, you can buy 2 houses down here for the price of 1 house up in Seattle. Those times have changed. And because we still have a long way to catch up to Seattle, there's a lot of chances for homes to go up. We also have more availability of land down here than what you see up in Seattle. You can drive around Tacoma and find big pieces of land all over the place that's available. However, none of those pieces of land seem to be moving. I don't know what's going on. Some of them along Pack Avenue, there's these big areas, several acres. I don't know if a company owns them or if a landlord or somebody owns them. They've just been vacant. And recently, a lot of homeless folks have set up camps on those sites. So I don't know what the situation is. In Seattle, you don't see vacant land. You can go to downtown Tacoma, you see vacant land. You don't see that up in Seattle. So because they have less of an opportunity to actually have a lot of infill projects, they've done a lot of high-rise development, but really and truly, folks are wanting houses, not apartments. It creates a very bad scenario. So folks who are looking for a home are going to end up moving out. That's why the suburbs north of Seattle and east of Seattle has seen such a huge uptick, because folks are wanting homes, right? Not necessarily apartments. Downtown is focused on condos and apartments so much that that's not really the market anymore as much as what it used to be. That used to be the big market point. It's not really the market down there like that, or up there like it used to be. Down here, it's a big old huge soup of everything. Every type of housing is needed, and you have the space to do it, right? You have the space to do it. You have land not only here, but once you start to leave and go south to Spanaway and Parkland and other places like that, which also seen a surge in prices. So if I think we're at 15.9, I think that Parkland was like 18, I can't remember, 18% price increase. Now, why is that? Because those areas down there, you can find homes a little bit cheaper than what you can find up in Tacoma. So folks who are priced out of the market here, first thing they're going to do is go to the nearby places that they can to get a home. And so that just feeds into this whole frenzy of home buying. So now the lower stock of homes, the huge demand, price is going to go up. You also have other people just moving down there because it is a hot market. Keep in mind too, Spanaway has been a hot market for the last few months. It is the hottest market in the state in terms of just city overall, right? So because of that, it is seeing a large influx of people moving down there, and house prices are going up. Now, Tacoma has a couple of different things that are being planned, right? Right now, the city, a few years ago, they allowed it to where you could have what's called mother-in-law places. And these were basically folks who would build, so they have a house, they have enough yard to where they can put another small home. Very small. We're talking almost a tiny home, right? Some folks were using their garages to do that. So they would have a 2-car garage or what have you, or a 1-car garage, and they would turn that into a living space. And as long as it met certain criteria, they could do that. Now, the city had allowed people to do that as long as it's been attached. So in this circumstance, the man cave garage is attached to the house. So you could turn this into a living quarters for someone, and the city had no issue with that. But that's not the reality of most homes that you see here. They have a lot of detached garages, especially the ones that were built in a certain time period. So now the city passed laws a couple of years back where if you had a detached garage, you could, as long as it had a bathroom, running water, electric, all that, you could definitely turn that into a living quarter. So that would help ease some of the housing issues, right? That didn't really make much of a dent. A lot of people can't really afford to do that. It's pretty expensive, construction costs, etc. So that helped, but it didn't really do as much. Now the city has found areas around the city where most of the city is an upzone area. Now in Seattle, they've done that strategically in certain areas, and when they're upzoning there, they're talking big, huge high rises. Down here, you're not going to see a high rise typically, right? What you're going to see is a mid rise of 5 to 6 stories at most. And so now they're finding key areas where that is going to work. And those are typically around transit zones. So areas that have a transit station, areas that have the link light rail system, areas that have like the transit hub, most of downtown, areas that have like bus lines that definitely feed through them. All of those areas are key for upzoning, meaning that you can develop at least 3 stories. So let's say that you have a street that has a bus line running through it and you have nothing but houses, right? 2 and 3 story houses, or 1 and 2 story houses, I should say. A developer could come along and buy 2 houses, knock them down, and build an apartment building, right? So they can build a 3-story apartment building on that lot, and they don't really have to worry so much about zoning because the city has allowed it. And the other part of that is with parking, they're going to say, hey, we have a bus line here. We don't have to worry about it, right? We don't have to find a parking spot for every single person. So that is happening all over the city because the city needs to have more actual places for people to live. And because we don't have big, huge apartment blocks that are 15, 20, 30, 40 stories tall here like they do up in Seattle, there's more of a need for apartments. Apartments snap up quick as soon as developers build them because there's such a high demand for them, right? So you're seeing that. Now, the problem with that is that it's great for people who are looking to stay in the city and they want to be able to be a part of the city and find a place to live, and they're able to afford those apartments. The bad thing is if you buy a house in the wrong area, one day you could find a developer buying a house that goes for sale, knocking it down, and if the lot's big enough, they can put an apartment on it. Right next door to us is a house where, as I mentioned, it's big enough for them to literally put 3 houses on, because right next to them is an electric substation. But the way that the land's designed, it's designed like an L. So technically, they could put at least 2 or 3 houses on that. Now, had we been on a bus line, a developer could buy that house, knock it down, and literally put a pretty big apartment building up in that area. I don't know if they can go beyond 3 stories, but literally it could cover most of that area with an apartment building with no problem. So folks who have homes obviously will be pissed knowing that all of a sudden now you have an apartment building right next door to you. That is kind of the situation. So one of the key things is if you're wanting to buy a house here in Tacoma, pay very close attention to where you are getting the house, because if it's along a transit line, then there's a possibility that one day a developer could instantly start putting up apartment buildings right in that area. Now, obviously, it's hit and miss. Who knows if that's going to happen or not? It has happened over there in Proctor, I believe, that has happened. So it's a possibility, right? It's a possibility. There's not a lot you can really do once the city has changed those laws to actually make that happen, right? But anyhow, Tacoma's house prices are going up. Seattle house prices are going up, not as fast as Tacoma's, but it's going up. It seems like with everything starting to come back online a little bit more, you're going to start seeing a surge of people buying more and more and more, because now is the time when people typically start to buy anyway. It's spring. The nasty weather and the cold is starting to go away a little bit. It's going to be more sunshine. You're going to definitely have more people out looking for homes. And so that is going to just accelerate the price in both areas. Again, if you haven't started the process and you're wanting to move here, you haven't started the process, you're going to be kind of behind the game. You want to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row, as I mentioned many a times before. And you want to make sure that you identify the locations in the city that you want to live in. Don't view the area that you're moving to today as a problem. some areas of Tacoma doesn't look that great, right? But they're not bad areas. They just have been areas that have been neglected for a long time. No new developments went in for a long time. And so now people are starting to move in. So don't look at a neighborhood and say, it doesn't look that great, because those are some of the hottest areas, right? There are certain areas now, like, as I mentioned, South Tacoma Way. Most people would just ignore that area. Now it's one of the hottest areas in the city because a lot of focus has been going on in that area. It's a lot more affordable. It's kind of trendy too. So keep your eye out. Make sure you have a good realtor. Make sure you have, your approval letter ready. Make sure you have cash on hand. You're seeing a lot of cash only options that are going on here. And that makes things a lot more difficult. But anyway, make sure you join the Discord down in the description box below. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I will see you. Take care.